What's up, everyone, and welcome to a special edition of Titan Sports. I'm your host, Corey Johnson. With me is Brianna Collins, Ivan Duran, Julio Marquez, and Elizabeth Williams. As you all know, the coronavirus has impacted everyone, including the sports world, but that doesn't mean that the NFL has stopped, as Tom Brady is now on a new team with an old teammate, and along with so much action taking place this past weekend in the 2020 NFL Draft. But let's start with the news coming out of Cal State Fullerton announcing that the upcoming fall semester will be online. CSUF announced that they will be one of the first schools to make this decision. Guys, do you guys think that this was the right decision to make, and should other schools do the same?
So I think it was a smart move, a little too fast. But the reason is, in my opinion, is that we don't know what's going to happen with the COVID-19. We don't know if there's going to be a second wave hitting us in the fall. So it's smart to slowly transition us to online, but we have to keep in mind it's still subject to change. Nothing is completely official. And not all classes are going to work online. So that's the downfall that Cal State Fullerton is going to have, such as swimming and dance. So what they should do is limit the amount of classes that should be held on campus. So then you can limit the people and not like spread the virus as much, but people are still willing to go to campus, be safe, but we have to have the equipment of masks and gloves. And schools should, if they would like to follow, they can, but it should be up to the state to guide the school systems if we're going to get the second wave, or if they're more comfortable transitioning to classes online. Some should be online and some shouldn't. So that is my take on it.
Yeah, Brianna hit it on the nail. I do believe that it is the right decision. First and foremost, it's not official. So like she said, anything is subject to change. And the fact of the matter is, like she said, that we don't know what's going to happen with coronavirus. There's just so much up in the air. And I think the biggest thing is that, some things are bigger than just school, and the safety of our lives, everyone else around us is more important. So taking those precautionary measures is exactly what needs to happen. And as far as like whether other schools should follow our lead, Brianna mentioned that, it's putting preventative measures in place, having some classes that need to be in person, have them in person with obviously taking precaution to what you do there, but also moving other classes online. So I think other schools should follow, but like she said, nothing is set in stone, and anything can change.
I think it's a little bit too early to announce this plan, as many students are already heading to finals week, and they do carry a lot of uncertainty about next semester, but we're not even in May yet, and I think it's just too early because, one, we don't know what's going to happen in May with all the stats and science behind this COVID-19 research, and I think classes like labs and production should be held in person at first, and then classes like English and math should be online to begin with, and as the semester progresses, maybe we could bring them back into class settings in week 6 or 8. So yeah, like Ivan and Brianna said, nothing's set in stone yet, but I think we just need to take it week by week and see how everything progresses throughout the year.
So I agree with you guys, but let's just be real. They're not trying to get sued. So until there's like a proper vaccine, I don't think we're going to end up being like on campus. However, I think it's smart for them to say it now, especially because people are planning like financially, because right now people don't have jobs. So they're trying to figure out like, do I want to take a semester online and risk that? Because honestly, as of now, it looks like it's going to transition into that because there's no cure right now. And other states are planning on reopening sooner than like California. Like some states are planning on opening next week. So you have to think about that. So like if you are, let's say you're in California, but you go to school in Michigan, let's say Michigan's like, oh, you know what, we're going to reopen things. So I think, yes, it goes by states, but we also need to prepare. We need to allow people to think about it. Because like a couple weeks ago, we registered for fall. So we need to think about like, okay, do I want to take a semester off, or do I want to hold up? Or do I just want to go for it, take easier classes? So I think it was a smart move, in my opinion.
Well said, guys. Well said. I think it's time for us to move on and talk about the NFL. Everybody has been so amped up about the NFL this offseason. We've seen so many things take place. Just the draft was this past weekend. Trades have been going place and plenty of free agent movement, including the quarterback himself, Tom Brady, inking a 2-year deal with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's going to be joined by a familiar face in tight end Rob Gronkowski, who announced that he was coming out of retirement and was immediately traded by the New England Patriots for a 4th-round draft pick. Do you guys trust the Bucs will be a Super Bowl contender this upcoming season, or will they bust? And overall, what do you guys expect out of Tampa Bay?
I think the Bucs did pretty well last year. I think the problem was their quarterback with all those there's too many interceptions. So I think it was a smart move to get Tom Brady and Gronk. They work well together. I do see them as a potential contender for playoffs. I don't know about Super Bowl yet because they are in a tough division. But I do have an issue with Gronk. He's been out for a year. First of all, he's had 20 concussions. Like, I was like, yes, he's retired. He can, like, live his life. But, like, I get why, because he had a year left, so I understand why the trade happened. I think the Bucs should do, I think a smart move would to hold him until they get to the playoffs. That way he has time to adjust back into the league because he's been out for so long. So that's my thoughts on it.
Yeah, this Bucs team, they remind me of, honestly, the Peyton Manning and Denver Broncos situation, except the defense isn't as good, still pretty solid, and the division in the AFC West wasn't as good as this NFC South division. I think they are playoff contenders for sure. Even with Jameis Winston heaving the ball every play, they were still not an easy out. Like, they came in and any given Sunday they could compete with any team. They just had some bad luck. So Brady definitely, I think, can put him over the top. It's a team that looks solid, even though I'm not the biggest Brady fan. I can't stand him. But I think they're contenders. The weapons they have, Gronk, is it Godwin? Godwin at receiver. They look nasty. And the defense, Shaquille Barrett, they still have Ndamukong Suh. Like, this team is still definitely capable of competing with the Saints day in and day out.
So Liz, I completely agree with you. They're not, I wouldn't say they're Super Bowl contenders, they're playoff contenders. And we're going to see a lot what happens. I mean, having Brady and Gronk together is going to be really not just interesting, but fascinating to see in Tampa Bay. I mean, Gronk is a great player. He loves to party, and he's in Florida. We're going to have a lot of fans out. We're going to have all the fans fired up in the stadiums. We're going to have Gronkowski and Brady firing up the team. So it's just going to be an interesting flow that it's going to be just different because having one of the two best players from the Patriots go to Tampa Bay together, it's just something that I haven't seen before or since I started getting into sports a few years ago. So to me, it's going to be really fascinating to watch both of them together in Tampa Bay. And a lot of Florida fans are excited for this. They're excited for both the best players together in the Buccaneers because no one expected this. I did not expect Brady or Gronk to go to the Buccaneers. And you know what we talk about in my household? Tom Brady is going to be wearing TB, Tampa Bay and Tom Brady. So
12.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun season to watch because who knows what everyone else is thinking across the country. We don't know how well they're going to play together, the offensive and defensive. So just because Brady is the best quarterback doesn't always mean he can lead them to the Super Bowl. So people shouldn't have high expectations because they're together, So those are my thoughts on that.
I think the Bucs will be a Super Bowl contender. We already know about the receiving corps, but my question is, will 30-year Ronald Jones II be able to help take some kind of the load off Tom Brady, who's going to turn 43 later on this year? It's all about controlling the controllable and stepping up big time against the Saints.
let's take a look on to the NFL draft. All eyes were on the 2020 NFL draft. This year's draft was the most watched draft in league history with over 55 million viewers. And in addition, the NFL were able to raise over $100 million to help COVID-19 relief. What do you guys believe were the biggest winners and losers coming out of the draft? And who do you think now has the edge going into the upcoming season?
Well, first and foremost, the draft was like the first thing of real sports that we've had in a month. No wonder it was the most watched thing. Like, this is the most geeked out I've been for a draft in the longest amount of time. Winners, losers. First and foremost, the Bengals, they get their guy, Burrow. Don't get sweet with the pick. Take your quarterback. Boom. They have their future set up. The Ravens, they went and they got 2 starters to help an already stacked team that went 14-2 last year. J.K. Dobbins is going to help out and make that offense just even more dynamic than it already is. They got Patrick Queen going to step in at linebacker. Could be the next Ray Lewis. Who knows? But they just look all around solid. The Dolphins, they set up for the first time in years. They set up what looks like a legitimate future. I'm not the biggest Tua fan, but at least they give them a quarterback to look for, and they give them some offensive line help with Andrew Jackson from USC. And now they have and put some weapons around him. And now, they're not Andrew. I messed up his name. The offensive tackle from USC. Other than that, I think the Chargers went out. They got their QB. They got a linebacker that they needed in Kenneth Murray. I like the Raiders addressing some needs. Biggest losers, honestly, the Packers. Jordan Love in the first round. Aaron Rodgers' window is closing. There's no need. They need to get him weapons. And I get looking towards the future, and who knows, Jordan Love may be the next stud QB for their franchise, but that was definitely a pick that was unnecessary.
So my answer is going to be nice, short, and sweet. I never say there's going to be a winner or loser when it comes to the draft. You never know. Like the first round pick is, it could be surprising. Your first round pick could be your worst pick. Just because the player is fantastic on a collegiate level doesn't always guarantee them success in the NFL.
Absolutely.
So that's the draft is always fun to watch because who knows, the 12th round pick could be your best player on the team, not your first round pick. So, and the real winners are honestly us fans. We're able to watch the draft for so long, like Ivan said. We can finally see actual sports after the month. The NFL raised X amount of $1 million to help COVID-19. That's the winner of this whole draft, in my opinion. It's different this year. And we're going to come out better and stronger. Fans are going to come out raving once this whole thing blows over. So overall, we're the real winners, and there are no losers in this round.
I think the Bengals did a great job helping out Burrow a bit on the offensive side and defensive side, as A.J. Green is aging. He's 31, 32. The Lions also did a fantastic job as well, as they picked up the best cornerback available in Jeff Okudah, possibly the best running back available, DeAndre Swift, and a defensive end in Julian Okwara. And Jerry Jones and his yacht, he decided to draft alone and pick high-quality players in C.D. Lamb. I thought he was going to choose offensive players, but he actually surprised the NFL world by picking up Trevon Diggs and defensive tackle Neville Gilmore, who brings a vicious playing style. And despite the Chargers drafting Herbert and Kenneth Murray, I think the Chargers still failed by not picking up a tackle because they need help on the right tackle side of things. And if they don't sign someone off the free agency market, either Tyrod Taylor or Justin Herbert's going to be eating up a lot of sacks this season. And it's a little bit frustrating to see the Packers not pick up some receiving help unless they're just getting ready towards next year's draft or next year's free agency with Keenan Allen hitting the market, and I think Mike Williams is too. So a couple of key receivers hitting the free agency market.
So I totally agree with what Bree was saying, because if you look at Tom Brady, he wasn't in the top round picks. He was like 6th. So I don't look at like, oh, you're in the top 5. And I'm a Bears fan. And I was like, Mitchell Trubisky, we traded up for him. Look at what he's done. Are you kidding me? So, like, as a Bears fan, I'm just going to make it real and personal. I am not a fan. They need to get a new general manager. They're making terrible decisions. They're not helping the team. They're only making them worse. First of all, no, I'm not going to go off. We're talking about the draft. But, yeah, so I look at, like, okay, your first round, we'll just see how you play. And that's it.
Well, folks, that's going to do it for us today. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode. You can watch our past episodes and game highlight packages on our YouTube channel. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at CSUF Titan Sports, and like us on Facebook to stay connected with us. On behalf of Brianna Collins, Ivan Duran, Julio Marquez, Elizabeth Williams, and all of us here at Titan Sports, I've been Corey Johnson. Remember to keep those tusks up, Titans. Stay safe, and we'll see you next time.